Okay, let's see if we get started here with the news. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to tell you. People ask me why I'm dressing like in the old days. That's because I'm from the old days. I was born in 1842. And if you don't believe that, you can ask my mother. She's sitting right over here. They say that with age comes wisdom, but in my case, age came alone. And they also say that time is a great healer, but he's a lousy beautician. Well, you came here to hear the news, so let's take a look what's in this paper. You're not going to hear any international news or political news or anything like that. If you want to be sad, you can read the paper yourself. But we got some business news here. Let's see. We got to read it through first. Yeah, Olde and Sven looks like they got a good job building a house, and they was on the job site there, and Sven sent Olde into the lumber yard to get, it says, go down and get 5,000 board feet of 2x4s. And so he drives down, yeah, Sven, I get it. So he gets to the lumber yard, and the fella says behind the counter, okay, 5,000 board feet, but, you know, how long do you want them? So we want them a good long time. We're building a house, you know. So they get that straightened out, and they get the lumber back to the job site there, and they're working away on building the wall, you know. And here's Olde, he's got the nail apron on and all like that, and he's nailing like this, and then he pulls out another nail, and he's nailing away, and he throws another one away, and Sven's watching, and he says, Sven, what the hell are you doing? You're throwing half the nails away. I haven't got the heads on the wrong end, Sven. Olde, you're an idiot. Those are for the other side of the house. That's what it says. I don't know what's so funny about it. Okay, let's see. Here's another one. Oh gosh. Carl, he got in trouble with his job that he had paint the road stripes. Did okay the first day, did 4 miles of paint. Big stripe down the middle. But the second day, it says only 3 miles, and the third day, only 1. The foreman's getting mad. He says, why are you slowing down the work? He says, I'm getting farther away from the paint can all the time. You know, this reminds me, when I first came here, I got the job, you know, if you come into town, a lot of towns have these little grooves in the road for the intersection, you know, next to where cars go. And they had to fill him in here, and they gave me that job. And they had to fill him in the car because the Norwegian got killed washing his clothes. Well, you know, the roads ain't too good around here. My wife, Mary, and I, we was out in the country driving along, you know, and it was a nice day like this, and there was a little puddle in the road. And we thought, we can drive right through that, that's no problem. And the car goes in, right down, sorry about the shower. It was down in the mud, and the wheels are stuck, I can't get out. But there's a farmhouse right here, see? So I knock on the door, and the farmer sticks his head out like this, and he says, stuck, huh? I said, yeah. I said, can you get your tractor and pull me out? Yeah, I can pull you out, but it will cost you $85. I said, $85 to pull out a car? I said, well, you can use the phone in the house for free. The call directly from town, be 125, and you'll be here in an hour and a half. Okay, get your change. So he's pulling out my car with the tractor. He says, you know, this is the 10th car I've pulled out of this hole today. I said, 10th car when you have time to do your field work at night? He said, no, night's when I water the hole. You know, I knew another fella. He came here, his name was Olde something, Langstad or something like that. And he got a job in the grocery store. What do you call that section that's also vegetables, the produce, I think it is that right? I don't know why they call it produce, they don't make them there. But anyway, fella comes in and he says, I want to buy a half a head of lettuce. And the young man, Olafson, says, and I don't know if I can tell you, just half a head of lettuce. But I go ask the manager. So he goes into the back room through the curtain there, you know, and he says, there's some idiot out here who wants to buy a half a head of lettuce. And over his eye and here, he sees the man is following the guy. He's hearing it, okay? And he tricks thinking, he says, and this gentleman wishes to buy the other half. So they get this all straight, and he takes the lettuce home, and produce manager says, come on in here, I got to talk to you, because you're a pretty smart thinking guy, very fast. He said to me, you got a new store opening up in Bemidji, in Minnesota. And they got a produce manager job there, maybe you'd like to apply for that. The guy says, Olaf says, Minnesota? No, he said, all they got up there is hockey players and hookers. He said, hey, you wait a minute, my wife's from Minnesota. He said, oh yeah, what team did she play for? Well, we're moving on to the social news now. That's all the business we got, I guess. But what we got here with social news? Oh yeah, this is a... Oh, no kidding, is that right? Okay. Well, seems this Olde, he won a trip to go to Mexico. And Lena, she didn't want to go at all. She said, we don't speak no Spanish and they don't speak no Danish. We only going to get in trouble over there. And Sven was sitting there having the coffee with him. He says, don't worry about a thing. Lena, all you do is you just talk loud and slow. Then they understand you. I was thinking that over. He says, no, she's thinking, you know, I know Olde's got his heart set on this trip, so okay, you'll go. So we fly down to Mexico, and they get into the hotel there in Mexico City, and Olde walks up to the desk and he says, my name's Olde. I got the reservation. The fellow behind the counter says, so you from Minnesota? He says, yeah. My name's Olde. What's yours? He says, my name's Lars. No kidding. Where are you from? He says, Bemidji. Says, I don't got only one question. If I'm from Minnesota and you're from Minnesota, what the heck we doing standing here talking Spanish? Well, they ended up back in Mexico, and Lars went up there with him, you know, he got a little vacation from the job down there in Mexico, and they takes him up to Minneapolis. Showed the big city, they'd ever been to a big city like that. And Olde goes to the desk clerk there, and Lena, she sits down with the two boys, Carl and Eric, on the little bench there in the lobby, just kind of looking around, you know, taking in all the sights. And she sees these little doors open up like this. You know, and a fella gets out, and the doors close again. Then along comes a really, really old man with a cane. He pushes a little button, and the doors open up, and he goes in the box. Nina's looking at that, and what the heck? And the doors close, and a few minutes go by, and then the doors open again, and a beautiful young man comes out, very handsome. He says to Kurt, go get your father. Well, the big party, looks like there was a big party over at Mons Jornson's house, yep. It says here they got a bartender and everything. I heard about that party. Mons is flirting with all the young girls all around the party, just making a fool of himself. And Greta goes over to Lena and says, doesn't it make you mad that he's flirting with all these young girls like this? He says, that don't bother me. Dogs chase cars, that don't mean they know how to drive. You know, he's always getting in trouble like that. He went in a restaurant one time, and he was kind of, you know, making little eyes at the waitress like that, and he asked her for a quickie, and she slapped him. He found out later it was pronounced quiche. Are you going to be okay? What else we got here? Yeah, here's some more of the social news. You don't see this every day. Svensen changed from Lutheran to Catholic. It's confirmed in the Catholic Church in Norway. Imagine that. It doesn't happen very often, I'll tell you that. The priest, you know, he said some words over him. He said, you was born a Lutheran, and you was raised a Lutheran, and you will die a Lutheran. And now you are a Catholic. I'm sorry, he didn't say that. Die a Lutheran. He said, now you are a Catholic. And so he thought, that's fine, I feel good, because he married this French girl who was living in Denmark, and was very happy to make a stab at her religion. So he didn't do one thing right, though. Every Friday night he was still out there grilling meat on the grill. There's the Catholic neighbors in that neighborhood. They could smell this meat, and they were eating the fish, and they weren't so happy about this, and he was breaking the rules. So they sneak up on him. They decide they will sneak up on the fence, and they will shame him for what he's doing. And they look over the fence, and they hear he is at the grill. There's a big steak like this, and he's saying, you was born a cow, you lived a cow, but now you are a walleye. What are you going to do, huh? Well, we're moving on to some medical news now. Page 11 here. Oh, this one, that's funny. This one is from Minnesota, but they reprinted it in this Norwegian paper. Birgitte Landström up in Minnesota, apparently she had a heart attack and fell on the kitchen floor. She was, you know, gasping for breath. Husband was, Chris was just, says here he was just beside himself. He called the ambulance, and he said, you got to come quick. My wife had a heart attack, and I think she might die if you don't get here really, really soon. And he says, what's your address? He says, 1711 Eucalyptus Street. Oh gosh, the dispatcher says, how do you spell eucalyptus? Suppose I drag her over to Oak Street and you pick her up there. Uh-oh. It says here Katrina Jepsen, she got a bad diagnosis. It's back in Norway. And the doctor said she only had 6 months to live. The doctor recommended that she marry an economist and move to South Dakota. She asked the doctor, will that cure me? He says, no, but it will make the 6 months seem much longer. I guess we're moving on to the obituary page here now. Oh yeah, I heard about this too. Olde's father died, you know. He was kind of cheap, Olde was, and so he had to go down and put the obituary announcement in the paper, you know. And he asked how much it was, and the paperman said it's 5 kroner per word. 5 kroner per word, that's too much. So then let's just say Olde died. Because his father's name was also Olde. He said, well, Olde, there is a 5-word minimum. You can't just put 2 words. Oh. He thinks about that for a little bit, and I got it. Let's put in there, Olde died, vote for sale. Yeah, and they was at the funeral, you know, and they were saying nice things about Olde's father, you know, and just talking how nice he was and what he did for people and all. And fella sitting next there to Olde, they all had little tears in their eyes, very moving ceremony, and he leans over to Olde, he says, Olde, what would you like to have them say about me at your funeral? Olde said, look, he's moving. Are you going to be okay? Oh, gosh, I'm sad to see this. My old friend Greta Skurdal died. She was in the nursing home, you know, very old lady. She was a virgin all her life. And she worked at the post office. They put on her headstone, return unopened. Oh. You know, when you get old like that, you can't remember so good. And my mother, she was in a place like that, and she's playing cards with this hotel, and she knew she had played cards with him several times before, but she couldn't remember his name. And she was a little embarrassed, so she said, I'm sorry, but I know that I know you, and you've played cards many times, but I don't remember your name. Can you say it for me? And the old fellow said, how soon do you need to know? We're moving on to the police blotter now. What you call a blotter here. I don't know why you call it that. It's crime news, you know. Sven Larsen, he got in trouble again for speeding. He was in court all day. He got postponed right at the end of the day. He was getting very fidgety and very cross. And so when the judge announced that it was going to be postponed another day, he said, what for? And the judge, $20 for contempt of court. Oh, he pulls out his wallet and he starts to open. He said, judge says, you don't have to pay now. He said, I know. I was just looking to see if I had enough for 2 more words. Yeah, Carl Knudsen says he got it even worse. He got stopped by the cops. Not only was he speeding, but he was weaving on the road. And Lena was in the car. He also had a wife named Lena. And the policeman stopped and starts to argue with Carl. Was it Carl? I can't remember. Yeah, Carl. And Carl is arguing with the officer and arguing this, and the officer's getting madder and madder. He says, I wasn't weaving. You were weaving. I saw you weaving. I wasn't weaving. And Lena says, officer, there's no use arguing with Olde when he's drunk. I heard there's this Eric Gunstetter here. He got away with the crime. They suspected him, but they couldn't prove a thing. He stole all the toilet seats from the police station, and the cops had nothing to go on. Yeah, and then this fella Hans Johansson, he showed up at the hospital and says here is all covered with bruises on his face and hands, and his eye was all black shut and in a terrible shape, and the nurses are examining him, and they ask him, what happened to you? He said, well, I have sinus trouble. Sinus trouble? Don't you mean sinus trouble? No. I was coming out of a hotel with a woman and her husband sinus. Always in trouble, that guy. Yeah. This is kind of sad. This other gal I know, this story here makes me think of her. Astrid Lemmerbaugh is her name. And she was very sad, very, very depressed. And her sister was not at all sympathetic to her illness, and so she got tired of all this complaining day after day. Oh, I'm in such bad shape. Oh, everything's sagging and bagging and dragging. I'm just in terrible condition. And I'm getting so old. She didn't go on like this day after day. And finally her sister just got mad one day. She said, if you're so miserable, why don't you just go home and take a gun and stick it 3 inches below your left vest and pull the trigger? Poor Astrid. she went home and shot herself in the knee. She wasn't in very good shape. Well, gosh, I gotta go. My wife's she got trouble with her email. She wants some help. Oh yeah, but I remember one other thing that I saw in here somewhere. This was kind of sad. Old Kurt Jansen, his dog died, Knut. You know, old dog, his time, dog died, but he was heartbroken. Just heartbroken. He was crying. He goes to the pastor. He says, "Pastor Ingeborg, my poor dog Knut has died." Well, that's very sad. The person gets attached. Yeah, what are they going to do then? Pastor, can you see a way clear to say a little services for the dog? We are not in the habit in the Lutheran Church of saying services over animals. But there's a Unitarian church right down here, and I think they might be able to help you out. Well, that's a good suggestion, Pastor. Thank you very much. Do you think that a $5,000 donation would be enough? How did you say? Was it a Lutheran dog? Well, I gotta go. See ya.
Definitely, that was worth it. That's what happens when we